Well, this is a good opportunity to talk about my house being rigged. At least that's my perception. I moved here about 3 years ago to this neighborhood. My wife at the time, my ex-wife now, who I believe was a perp, gang stalker, she picked this house. Can't reach that. Alright, so like I was saying, when we were searching houses, I was finding a bunch of different places. She was in Oklahoma looking places up online, and she found this ridiculously huge house for $1,300 a month. It's almost unbelievable, too good to be true. Big place. This is my bedroom. Anyway, I got to this place. I was out here looking around for houses by myself, driving all over the place. Found this house. I walked in. They gave me the key, so I'd come check it out. Came check this place out. It was ridiculously huge. I never lived in a house this big. It was not much more than the house I was renting. That was like 1,000 square feet before that. But after we were here a while, I started noticing a lot of different stuff around here that didn't make sense. Like, see these walls? See how the paint's all different everywhere? It's almost like, you know, the house had been damaged before, and they just covered it up with a bunch of this odd paint, but it is everywhere in this house. And this might not seem like any kind of big deal to a lot of people, but some folks that know what's going on with this stuff will recognize, you know, sometimes we'll put stuff in the walls to make noises. And now this is just my own personal perception, and I've also read a lot of this stuff online that you know, they'll haunt houses, bug the house, haunt the house, you know, like make it seem like there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. And for quite a while, when there was a lot of induced stress going on in my life, around about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, this thing started going off. We didn't have service to this. We didn't have service to this at all. We just it was just here with the house originally. And it's got these monitors up here in the corners. There. But that thing just started randomly going off in the morning. I called and asked for the code. They said they would call the owners and see if they can get the code for me. Never heard back from anybody. It was always just kind of a runaround, and I kept having issues with this. And it was like when I had something important to do, the next day I had a lot of work to do. I had something that required a lot of attention. This thing would just go off. Hold on, please. That would go off. I finally took a part out of that thing so it would quit working. And then right after that, each morning, these, that's the detectors. There's a smoke detector right there. This place is full of smoke detectors. Different smoke detector, like each day or every other day, would just start going off 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I would get up, push the button, I'd be awake, and you know, it happened for quite a while, and then it quit happening. And then all of a sudden, I start posting videos on YouTube about what's going on with me, talking about this stuff, getting some street theater, and you know, kind of fighting back some of these people. And guess what? Smoke alarms start going off at 3 o'clock in the morning again. This one's my son's room each time, so I go off in my son's room 3 o'clock in the morning now. Wake him up. Went off this morning exactly at 10 o'clock, and then he went and got in the shower. I came out front to hang out for a second, get some fresh air, and as I'm out front, he gets in the shower, the smoke alarm goes off again. So I'm in this neighborhood called Glenhurst here in Avondale, Arizona. A bunch of these giant houses. They're like 2,500 square feet to 4,000 square feet, right about there in the neighborhood. And my house is at the very end of this neighborhood. So when you come in for an entrance, you have to drive down a street, go around a roundabout, and then drive down another street to get to the very back of the neighborhood where I live. I've ridden my bike around this neighborhood quite a bit, and I noticed that my house is the only house that has these holes, these vents up here, all the way around. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It seems to me like it would let a lot of the cool air out when you're heating or cooling the house. Cool air, hot air, whatever. It's all the way around the top floor, all the way around the second floor. None of these other houses have that, so maybe they're better insulated, so they have lower bills. This house is set up to have higher bills. As soon as I got to this house, the gas company came out and put this smart meter on my house. And when I asked about it, I got some big time street theater from the lady. She acted like I was some kind of criminal coming out there and interrogating her about some top secret information that she knew. And all I was doing was trying to just ask a couple questions because I was curious about what was going on in the house that I live in. And she actually started a fight basically. And I told her, I can't even remember exactly what went down, transpired, but I told her if she was going to act like that, she'd go ahead and leave and call somebody else to come out. She left. I had to call the gas company, have somebody else come out, and I'm sending a supervisor and made a formal complaint. And when I was going to make the formal complaint, they had the lady call me and apologize so I wouldn't file the complaint. Looking back now, I should have, because it was street theater. She deserved a complaint. She was a gang stalker, and she was intentionally harassing me that day. It wasn't just bad customer service. So anyway, got all this odd paint in a house all over the place. As soon as I'm talking about something that has to do with like gang stalking or targeted individuals or things that have happened to me in my past, I'll hear a click in this house. Something in the walls will click. And depending on if, now there's just like what I've observed, what I've kind of noticed. It seems like if I'm talking about something positive, it'll click once. If I'm talking about something negative, it'll click twice. It's like I'm trying to be conditioned. To be positive, but I have all this negative stuff going on around me. I don't know, it's just a weird thing. Oh, here's the other thing, since I'm talking about stuff that sounds crazy, but could be a very high possibility. My ex also, who I think is responsible for some of this stuff, went and picked up this refrigerator. She found this place that sells used appliances, and so I said, yeah, let's go over there, let's go check it out. And got this thing pretty cheap, nice stainless refrigerator, just had a scratch in the front of it, but it makes really odd noises at really odd times. If I'm going through videos, uploading videos, updating things, talking about gang stalking. I know this is just inside my refrigerator, but this thing will start vibrating, like click, and then buzz. And it really reminds me of like an X-ray machine. It sounds like an X-ray machine going off. What else can I go over while I'm in here? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Okay, well, I'm going over this. I can go out back real quick. Now, some of this stuff could be completely coincidental, but I'm just going over some of the possibilities of all of the random, coincidences that going on that I'm just observing that don't seem normal, and stuff that kind of correlates with what I've been reading and researching. And one of the things that I've read is that sometimes people, the neighbors, will be using electronic harassment stuff on you. I didn't think I was having too much of that before, but I'm getting some now, I believe. And they would talk about how like the neighbor would set up a shed right next to the fence, and put some of these devices in the shed and aim it at your house. So after I moved in, that's what got put in. Right there, 2 sheds, 1, 2 metal sheds right next to me. The old neighbors that lived across over here too were some street theater perps, man. They were. Oh, you good? It's okay. They were a younger couple. I mean, I'll just go ahead and say redneck. They were pretty redneck. Had a rebel flag in their garage, and just did a bunch of. I had nothing wrong with rednecks. I'm just saying these people were out of control. Hope I don't offend anybody. But I could care less about those people. We moved here. These people moved in next door, and they started making all kinds of noise. They had a really loud truck, would peel out 10 times a day, would always be knocking on the door, asking for stuff. One time, towards the it's cold out here. I'm having a hard time breathing. And this stuff sucks to talk about. Anyway, they would cause all kinds of street theater. They showed up at the front door one time, right towards the end before my wife left, when the street theater was really building, and all these alarms are going off, and the smoke alarm and everything. It's going off. Loud music over here till 4 o'clock in the morning. And then the guy just showed up at my door one day with a towel on his shoulder, a white towel, completely soaked in blood. And he was like, "Can I use your internet? I need to call the dentist, and I need to fill out my county paperwork online, so I need to borrow your internet access code." And I was like, "No, man, you can't borrow it. How are you going to give it back? I can't let you use my internet. I'm sorry." And I didn't know what street theater was at that time. And now I'm just like, wow, was that real blood? Did he really lose his teeth? Was it, what's going on with that? But they just did nonstop, endless stuff. They always had crazy cars over there, music loud, peeling out, dirt bikes, shooting BB guns over the fence. Typical gang stalker neighbor, I guess. And I thought they were just young and wild and out of control. And one case, yo, what's going on?
Want anything from the store?
No, I'm okay right now, thanks. It's my son. Just turned 21. So yeah, they've been going after him a little bit lately. I'm not sure. My daughter, I'm pretty sure they've been going after. Anyway, I'm talking about this house and how it's possibly rigged, or like I don't know. I've heard them talk about a spy house or something, where these folks might think I'm some kind of terrorist, and they'll lure you to a spy house where they have cameras in it and see every single little thing that you do. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm being watched here all the time. And it's not because of paranoia; it's just because of all the actions that have been happening, all the things that are going on, and just me observing all of this. I get street theater throughout my neighborhood, from police, fire, EMS, school buses, construction workers, pool guys, pest control people, crossing guards, people at the coffee shop, people at Burger King, or just people in restaurants in general. I'm not singling out Burger King. So, but now that I'm saying all this, I'm not saying that all of the people in all of the places that I just said are bad people. there are some people in some of these groups that are part of this that participate. I'd like to think that not every single person in all of these fields have to be a gang stalker to qualify. That'd be really sad for our country. It'd be sad just for humans in general. We've received a lot of street theater from the neighbors. I used to think these next door neighbors over here were friends of mine, and they were trying to be cool. But I went over there one night and was hanging out with them, and they started a bunch of street theater. It was right after my wife left, and they had a guy crying and moaning on about how his wife just left him, and they're going to go through custody, you know, really similar thing that I'd gone through. They were trying to take me back to a bad place, and I just was being positive, trying to give the guy reinforcement, and I could tell when I was doing that, and it wasn't working on me to get me all worked up and sad and everything. You know, he kept looking up at me like, it's not working, it's not working. And I hung out with him for a while, but they, I believe, somehow slipped me an Ambien that night, or some kind of drug, because I woke up in the morning and I had some like black spots. I'd gone to the bathroom in the middle of the night and like peed on the side of the toilet. You know, that's not something I do. I wake up, you know, I was in the military for a long time. You wake up and be alert immediately. So I got that. And then later down the road, I was talking to him again, and he mentioned something about how they had a friend over there that they took a bunch of Ambien and hopped the fence and started talking to the neighbors over here and made an ass of himself. And I almost have a feeling that they're talking about me. So I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. But definitely don't hang out with those people anymore. Trying to make sure I'm not missing anything here. They would knock on the windows in the middle of the night. You know, nobody's ever trying to break in while I'm here. They just knock on the windows, knock on the doors, stuff like that, just to wake us up. And you know, of course, somebody's knocking on your window in the middle of 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You need to get your gun, make sure that you're safe. You know, for all you people that are married, you're laying there in bed, you hear a noise, you're going to check that out. So, I mean, if you're by yourself, either way, you're going to go check it out, make sure that you know, somebody's not trying to break into your house and hurt you. A couple of other things that I noticed that are interesting. This says 24-hour monitoring by AAA Alarm and Security Incorporated. And then on my trash can, well, this is all stuff that just kind of looks normal. Somebody that doesn't know anything about this. It says, thank you for recycling. Your can was inspected. Good job. All these little things. The appliances in some of these houses, I'm sure, weren't that great, but the appliances were all horrible in this house. There was something wrong, you know, with them in general. Didn't quite work right. That's how all this seems to work. Things seem to work, but not quite work right. Or you'll be doing just fine, and then one little thing will throw you off, which, you know, that happens in life, but not every time. There's something else I was going to talk about in here. That, oh yeah, just odd things. Like, okay, these light switches right here, light switches right there. None of them are in a place that would be where an electrician would put them. Like, this light doesn't turn on for this light over there, and this light doesn't turn on the next light. They're just all over the place. And, you know, I kept saying, man, I'm going to switch those lights out one of these days when we buy this house. And I realized it's just like one of those, stick with me here. It's one of those things to just inconvenience you, slow you down, and make you feel uncomfortable. And I know I'm talking about a damn light switch, and it sounds ridiculous, but enough small ridiculous things in a row, tiny little things, look covert, and make you sound crazy when you try to explain it. But, you know, all of that together, it builds up over time. I think I've said this before, kind of like cancer, it builds up, builds up, builds up. I'm sorry, not cancer, radiation, builds up, builds up, builds up. You can't really do anything to get rid of it, it just kind of keeps building. And that's kind of how this is to all these little things, one after another, where you get no rest, you get no privacy, you get no kind of help like you would if you were a normal citizen. As far as like you go to the tax guy, you ask for information, they're going to give you enough information to confuse you and send you on your way. You know, they give you all, then make it look like they're helping you, and then like leave some information out to where you, you know, you didn't file this form on time, or you didn't do something, and then they act like it's your fault. You go to the bank. It's just one thing after another. No matter where you go, any kind of business that you go to that is involved in this, you get just shitty customer service. I just thought that customer service was going downhill, and then it clicked. And I was like, oh, all right, here we go. Now I have to try to figure out how to do everything on my own. I'm walking around the house right now just trying to think of other stuff that has transpired here over the last almost 3 years that seems really weird. I mentioned this in another video too, but my electronics have been hacked, and people are using my somehow getting my key fob code or whatever, and they're locking and unlocking my vehicle while I'm out here. You sit at the stop sign, garage door opening. Yeah, I already talked about all this stuff. Car's always pulling up to my house right as I'm leaving, or pulling away right as I'm returning home. Always, 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 always. And the cars that I don't recognize, they're either like a white car or a red car. A lot of times they're Dodge truck, Dodge Challenger, Dodge Charger, a white van or box truck with no markings. Well, no, sometimes I'll have markings, you know, plumber truck, stuff like that. Things that, you know, you're like, yeah, those people drive around neighborhoods. But just timing and repetition, over and over. Kind of going off the subject of this house, I was trying to, up here in my bedroom, one day I was, and I need to do this again, I was up here, the bathroom, and I was trimming my eyebrows a little bit and get a little out of control. Crazy. So I was trimming those. And I mean, I'm right there, my mirror. Wave. Say hi. There's a camera or something behind there. Because I had my phone in the bedroom. I'm just standing right here, looking in the mirror, plucking my eyebrows, messing with them. I go to get some food later at Carl's Jr. And the guy back there cooking on the line, he looks up, he looks right at me and goes, "Man, I've never trimmed my eyebrows before. I only know a bunch of girls that do that. I don't think I'd ever do that." Looks at me again, looks down, goes back to his business. So I just left. Nobody's gonna know that I was trimming my eyebrows up there in my bathroom, you know, and then mention something about it you know, an hour later when I go to the store. I wasn't even planning on going to Carl's Jr. either. I just Saturday, I was going to the dollar store or something like that, going to the bank, and then just decided to make a little quick turn in there. And that guy got the heads up. There was somebody that walked in, did a little hand signal before I walked in. And then I got my street theater when I went in from something I did in my bathroom. And I believe in coincidences, and I believe in, you know, things like that happening, but it's impossible. There's no way. There's no way. The name of this neighborhood is Glenhurst. Glenhurst, Hearst, like Hearst Castle. William Randolph Hearst, the guy that did all the propaganda videos for cannabis becoming illegal, calling it marijuana. He's responsible for that. I own a lot of paper companies. A lot of paper companies. My ex-wife's dad worked for one. I'm not even going to say the name of it. But I believe that company is owned by this old family, Hearst family, that own all of it, a lot of media stuff. I don't know who knows what they own now, but they're huge. I spoke out for legalizing cannabis, stuff like that. And got signatures when I was in Oklahoma. And did a lot of stuff like that. So could be a far stretch. Could be completely wrong, but I really doubt it. I mean, not about all of it. It's just this is all ideas that I have just from what I'm witnessing. Events that have happened with me, things that have been told to me. I'm just kind of connecting some dots, you know. I feel trapped in this neighborhood. Nobody waved at me at all in this neighborhood. Like, you know, you move into a new place, you wave at the neighbors, they wave back, usually. Especially in like suburbia, you're out here outside of the city, everybody's got families, they kind of want to interact with everybody usually, have a community, and I haven't got that at all here. The new next door neighbors next door over here talked to me. They invited us over for a party and stuff like that. And, you know, we get along with them. They'll stop by when we're sitting out here. They'll come over and just talk and stuff like that. But I'm still questionable. And I'm not hearing any sirens right now. A lot of times when I come out here, I'm just hearing sirens. Code 3. It seems like they're going code 3 every time I go out to the porch here. It doesn't seem like it's that busy around here. Like they'd be running, 40 calls a day or something, like West Side, Fresno, or LA, or real busy downtown Phoenix station, something like that. I think they'd be more around like 5, 10 around here. Well, who knows? Can't think of anything else right now off the top of my head. If I do, talk about this house. Oh, lights flickering. There we go. When almost forgot these. When I'm talking about something controversial or talking about this program, talking about this whole thing, or looking up videos, I'll say something right when whatever that is that I say comes out of my mouth. My lights will dim, and lights dim. There's brownouts. There's different things, electrical glitches. I don't even know what to call it. And that happens. But once this happens enough times, you start to kind of go, huh? Somebody's got their finger on the button, sitting there messing with it when I'm saying something about what I'm talking about. And this does sound like a movie. This sounds just so stupid. So those of you that haven't gone through this, that can't grasp how big this is and how much detail that goes into it, how much effort goes into this, how coordinated it is, and how much it's funded, all of the, I mean, just keep going. Be open-minded. Understand that business gets huge. Government gets huge. When people have unlimited money, they can start utilizing that money to do all kinds of different defensive tactics. And maybe some of the people that are targeted are threats to not the country, but a business or an industry, somebody that has enough insight to see something to kind of call some bullshit on it, maybe, or change it and affect the cash flow on that. I believe that some of those people would be targeted enough to where you know, they will send somebody to that person, kind of like pack of coyotes. Coyotes are really smart, and they're trying to get a dog off of some property, and they know they can't just go on the property; they'll get shot on the property. So they'll get the female coyote, go in, lure the dog out into the woods, and then they eat the dog. And I feel like that's about what happened to me here. You know, my beautiful wife, my ex-wife, who I'd do anything for. And, she said, "Hey, let's move here." I'd probably do it, and I did, and I listened to her advice. And I feel like they sent the female coyote in to drag me in here and surround me. And here I am. Here I am making this video, trying to get out of this circle. A lot of I got 30 minutes. I was gonna make this like a 5-minute video. A lot of the code words and stuff that are used, they like to say right in front of you, and they'll tell you stuff like, "Oh, we don't shake hands around here. We give hugs." And I saw on a news interview with an Air Force firefighter actually that learned about gang stalking, and I don't know if he actually did this or somebody did it and they set him up, but they said that he dropped off a pipe bomb at a recruiting office and blew it up or something. And I have my doubts about him actually doing that. But then again, he might have. I don't know, man. People do crazy shit. Oh, goddamn. There I go, blanking out again. I got up at like 1 o'clock this morning, so I've been working since. Okay, yeah, so people say it's stuff like, "We don't shake hands, we give hugs." And I know I just kind of went off tangent, but I'll talk about hugging you. And what they mean is luring you somewhere. There goes the smoke detector again. Luring you somewhere. And squeezing you in till you can't breathe anymore. It's not a hug like a nice thing. It's a hug like, we're going to squeeze you to death. We're going to choke you out, and you're not going to be able to breathe or function anymore. And that's what the metaphor is, or the whatever you call them. So I guess I missed that day in English. As a matter of fact, the hospital over here that my ex-wife signed us up for insurance, the insurance plan. We have to go to this hospital over here. It's called abrazo, and in Spanish, abrazo means hug. Just found that interesting. Take from it what you want. I'd like for some people to be some internet online investigators and just take this information I have and go with it, because I don't have the time, money, or resources to do all this stuff myself. So, and then a lot of the terminology they use was like waves, like tidal wave. It's always something about a wave hitting you underwater, talking about being underwater, just talking about mermaids, all kinds of different signs and symbols that they would use to communicate. I am going to end this video and go shut off my smoke detector that's going off that I was just talking about. It's a perfect way to end this video, I guess. Thanks. Bye.